Hi, everybody. This is Jack Allwild with another money episode. Today, we are discussing with Mark Csordos. He is the author of Business Lessons for Entrepreneurs, 35 Things I Learned Before the Age of 30, and he is the owner of a laundromat. So let's get into it. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. And before we get into your book and the laundromat, the listeners like to know where you're coming from. So, Mark, what was your relationship like with money growing up?
I was taught well about money when I was young, and I always like hustled. I had a paper route, I mowed lawns. I started working at the A&P, which is a grocery store, now defunct, when I was 16. So, I was always, like a saver and investor.
Did your parents involve you much in family decisions, or were finances kind of hush hush?
They were kind of like really neither, they
Uh-huh.
didn't hide them from the kids, but we also weren't involved. I had an aunt that had bought us some stock, my brother and sister also. So I did learn from my dad. I mean, he really wasn't an investor, but he did, teach me, so I would read like, the stock pages, back in the day when you didn't have the computer and they literally listed every single company in the newspaper. So my dad, he did teach me about that, and he did give me access to things. So like I bought my first stock. I think I was like 16 or 17, so he got me like he signed me up for an account as a minor, and it was Topps baseball cards. I
Okay.
used to collect baseball cards. So that was the first stock I ever bought.
Interesting. Do you still have that stock?
No, I did sell it, and I think they eventually over the years got bought out more than once. So I think they're private now.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, Mark, let's get into the book. So you wrote the book, Business Lessons for Entrepreneurs. Now there's 35 small chapters. Why don't we go through two or three of the chapters, some talking points? I mean, what should people looking to get into entrepreneurship be thinking about?
Well, I definitely think one thing they have to be able to do is to have a thick skin and learn how to handle rejection. I've met many entrepreneurs, obviously myself included, where, you have in your mind it's a brilliant idea, and it might turn out to be a very good idea. But just because you put out a shingle or today you put up a website or whatever your business might be, it doesn't mean the world's going to knock its doors down to come in there. I remember talking to a gentleman who was like a co-owner of several restaurants. And he took me all the way back, probably like 20 years, and he remembered like, the first couple of nights they were there, and nobody was there. And he's like, what did I get myself into? You know, that's honestly how a lot more entrepreneurs start out. You don't just, put out your website and oh my gosh, all of a sudden, I'm doing, six figures, seven, whatever. It is a slow process. Now, if you keep following the process and doing what you should, I mean, eventually a lot of times you'll have the curve where it just keeps going up. But in the beginning, it takes patience. You have to be willing to accept, if you're out there selling a product, you have to be able to take rejection. Um, just because you think it's great doesn't mean everybody else does. So you really have to build up some personal armor to get through those lean early days.
For the younger folks that maybe haven't started a business yet, are there any types of exercises or things one could be doing to build that thick skin?
The biggest thing is to realize, like, when you get rejected, they're not rejecting you. There's 1,000 reasons. Like when I was selling my first service, they weren't rejecting Mark. Maybe they didn't have the budget. Maybe the proper person couldn't say yes. Maybe they already had somebody doing it. Maybe, who knows? There's a million reasons, and none of them have anything to do with me personally. Okay. So if I go out on 10 sales calls and I get 9 no's, a lot of people would be like, oh, like a 90% failure rate. Well, not necessarily. There's like I said, there's 1,000 reasons they could say no. And just because they're saying no today, doesn't mean they won't be a client 6 months from now. But if you take every single one of those to heart, like, all I keep doing is getting rejected. Well, yeah, that would weigh on you. But when you realize, look, it's simply a business decision. They say no probably 90% of the time because they can't say yes to everything. So
Mhm.
when you realize it has nothing to do with Mark, it has nothing to do with the husband I am, the father I am, the kind of neighbor, sibling. They just simply didn't want the product that I had at this very moment. Okay, I can live with that. I just go on to the next person. And when you realize that, it's a lot easier to deal with the no's.
Interesting. In the same vein as that, is self-promotion. And you bring this up. Can you speak a little bit on how we should be thinking about self-promoting ourselves?
You have to get out there and you have to like shout to the world about your service. It's not enough just to open your storefront or to have your website and think people are going to find you. They're not going to find you. You have to go out there and let them know that you're there. Whether it's joining the Chamber of Commerce like I did, I have the laundromat, so I'm a part of the community and they're having like 2 township days. So I'm going to have a table at each one of those, promote the service. I'll go around to local businesses and say, hey, I own the laundromat. Do you need anything cleaned? We do pick up and delivery. I don't wait for them to find me. I go out to them. We even did not a grand opening, but like under new ownership type of thing. So we had like the ribbon cutting and I sent out like golden tickets, just like in Willy Wonka. Like, hey, come down here. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have prizes and some, surprises. And we had a good time with it. But I'm always out there, trying to promote it. Maybe like we do a delivery at house A and I see somebody out there for, on their lawn next door. I'll go over and say, hey, how you doing? Do you like doing your own laundry? We can pick it up. We can, a lot of people never even thought, that a laundry place will pick up your laundry, clean it, fold it, and put it back on your porch.
Huh?
But I'm just constantly out there telling the world, and whatever service I had, that's what I would
Huh?
do.
In terms of percentage of your time spent, what percentage would you say you spend towards like marketing and in that type of activity?
Well, I would say as owner, I probably spend like half my time just
Okay.
getting the word out.
Wow.
And that's any way that I possibly can because I have people that can, do the washing and the folding, but they're not going to like build my business.
Mhm.
I'm the one who can do that. So I try to focus on building the business so they have more stuff to wash and fold.
Mhm. Gotcha. Well, one interesting comment on the book is that you're kind of addressing how to deal with people lying to you. Could you maybe talk about that aspect of entrepreneurship?
That's one of the tough things is that, you wish everybody was, on the level. I do remember that when I sold my first product, it was actually a service. And what I didn't realize is that sometimes people, they had no interest in ever hiring me. They just wanted to pick my brain to figure out, okay, how do I do this on my own?
Ah,
And most salespeople are very eager to talk, 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 and they don't listen. That's one of the things that I learned later on, and I did write about the book. When I go into a sales meeting, I just ask some questions and then I just let you talk. You're the customer. You're going to tell me. But so many times salespeople, they're so eager to tell you everything. Oh, this is why you need this book, and this is all the great features. And by the time I'm done, I've told you either everything that's in the book, you don't have to read it now, or how to do the service that you're inquiring about, and basically it's called free consulting. Okay, I told you everything you need to do this on your own, and I did it for free. And then you give me a very nice, well, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction, or something very generic that means absolutely nothing because you never had any intention, you know. And that unfortunately it happens a lot in business, So I want to take people at face value, but you also have to realize that not everybody's always telling you the 100% truth. So.
Mhm. Well, people should definitely check out the book. We don't want to give out too much away from the book, I guess, but you touched on the laundromat a little bit. It would be a lot of people are interested in this idea. Why don't you tell us how you got interested in this business and how you got started with that?
I was looking for a business also that my wife would support, and I researched laundromats, and the great thing about a laundromat is it's almost recession proof in some sense. In good times and bad times, you always have to wash your clothes. So it's a steady business. It has one of the lowest failure rates of any business out there. So unless you really butcher it, you're gonna keep your doors open. Um, and it's a service that people need. Whether they come in, they do their own laundry because they don't have access to it. They might live in an apartment, or with like the wash and fold and the pickup and delivery. You might have 3 kids, both the husband and wife work. Kids got Little League, Girl Scouts, all these things going on. The last thing you want to do on Saturday is spend 8 hours just doing the family laundry. So it's a service that people need. It's not, you don't need an MBA to run a laundromat, and it's a very consistent business. It's amazing like how many you see the same people over and over at the same times. Like I happen to open on Thursdays. It's just a little quirk of the scheduling. And the one guy, he's always waiting for me, and
Okay.
he'll help me bring the sign out and stuff like that because, people have their schedules. And I mean, that's literally how consistent it is. You'll see the same people on the same days at the same times.
Wow. I mean, can you explain a little bit the financing to get it started? Is this something you used money you had saved up, or did you go get some sort of loan to start this, or
Well,
yeah.
what I did, and most businesses are bought this way. I got some owner financing.
Okay.
So I put about half down in cash, and the owner financed the other half. And I think most small businesses are done that way. And there's 2 reasons that I like it. Well, one, I don't have to use all my cash to do it. And I also think that if you're willing to take a note and say, okay, well, you know what, pay me the remainder out over 3 years, and of course I pay some interest, then you feel pretty confident that the business is going to be there in 3 years because I still owe you half of what the business is worth. So that means you still have some skin in the game and you feel pretty certain that the numbers that you gave me in this business, it's solid, it's legit, it'll be here. So that's why I like, the owner financing.
Interesting. Can you talk a little bit about like number of machines?
We're a little on the smaller side, so we have like 24 dryers, and after a little renovation, I think we're going to have like 26 or 27 washers. So what I really try to do is just get the most out of every inch that I have. Because a lot of laundromats, ours is on the smaller side, but it doesn't mean that I can't find ways to maximize that.
Uh-huh. And in terms of so you said you like pick up people's laundry. So I guess you have like trucks to pick that up. How
Yeah.
how does your employee base look and what are their job functions?
Um, most of there's like 5 employees altogether, and
Okay.
most do the wash and fold. Okay, I'm actually the worst at the folding. So you really don't want me to do it. And honestly, I shouldn't be doing it. There's other things that I can be doing. So I will go out and I will do the pickup and deliveries. I will, I market the business. I'm the one who, does the change machines and goes to the bank, that type of thing. So pretty much when you're working there, we always have wash and fold to do. Um, so you're helping customers and you're doing wash and fold while
Wow.
they're there.
And in terms of I guess forecasting and making projections, like what is like I don't know what you call it, like the shelf life of a washer? Like how long do they last typically?
I mean, they can last 10, 15 years. I mean, you can get if you take care of your equipment, you can get some life out of them.
Okay. 10 to
So
15.
it's just important to take care of them and also to get your customers to treat them nicely.
Awesome. Hmm. And any thoughts of expanding or kind of like how it's managed right now?
I had toyed with the idea of buying a second one. Obviously, there has to be something, relatively local and, in
Mhm.
my price range. So we had toyed with that. I'm also working on a second business idea, but I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I do plan to work on growing the commercial part of our business. We just picked up a client the other day, and it's beautiful. It's a physical therapy place. So
Ah,
we pick it up on Friday. It's like 100 pounds of white towels. All we got to do is wash them and dry them and have them back by 8 o'clock Monday morning.
wow.
Um, and
What
that's the easiest thing to do is like just wash and fold towels. So one of the things I'll be looking at is like the commercial side. Maybe you have more physical therapy, gyms. We work with a chiropractor. So I'll be looking on expanding the business that way.
interesting. What is a service like? What do you charge for a service like that? Just pick up Friday, drop off Monday.
Well, for them, it's like $1.35 a pound because they're close,
Okay.
and that's about as easy as you can get. Um,
Gotcha.
for like a house, you're talking like in the $1.70s,
Okay.
per pound to have it pick up, folded and drop back off. Now, depending on what part of the country you're in, it could be a little less. I mean, I've seen like in California, which is on the other coast, over $2, but everything's more expensive there, so it's
Uh-huh.
all relative.
All relative, yeah. Cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing some of those numbers. It's very, very cool to get a glimpse into the business. Um, Typically, we like to wrap up by asking you what is the best and worst personal finance advice you've either heard or received?
I think the best, and this is what I would teach my kids, is to A, live within your means, and B, as soon as you're able to get, like if you work for somebody else, as soon as you're able to get into the 401k, just start contributing to it.
Okay.
You'll never know that it's missing out of your paycheck. But over the years, if you start early enough, it'll really add up.
And what about the worst piece of advice?
I can't really think of that. I don't get too exotic with investing. It's basic. Your household names and putting money in the 401k. So I keep it pretty simple. No crypto or anything like that.
Okay. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure. I want to give you an opportunity to tell listeners where to go to find the book and how would they get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out.
Well, my name is Mark Csordos. The book is on Amazon. And if anybody wanted to like email me, it's just simply my name, Mark Csordos, at AOL.com.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. I think the listeners are going to get a lot of value out of this.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.